Well, the demise of a squadron is always an emotional time, and that's certainly the case here at RAF Brize Norton today. In a moment, we'll look back on the Tristar's long and illustrious career. But first, my report on today's final operational flight. The final sortie of the Tristar. This veteran of the skies has been worked hard to the very end. Bought in a hurry after the Falklands War, the Tristars were well used long before they entered RAF service.
It's the can-do spirit which we expect from our armed forces. Brought in, fill a gap here, OK, we can make it a tanker, we can make it a trooper, it can fly to the other side of the world and reinforce the Falklands garrison. They can do all these sort of things with airliners. It's amazing what they've done with it.
If refuelling is the glamour side, Tristar is perhaps best known for its trooping flights, flying soldiers and equipment all over the world.
We just make it as enjoyable, if you use that as a word, as it can be, and just relax and, let them rest as much as they can on the way into theatre.
When Tristar's replacement, the Voyager, was grounded recently, it was Tristar that picked up the slack. But the new planes are bigger, better, and so the theory goes, more reliable.
It's a real game changer. Having flown the VC-10 for a bit of time and then the Tristar in both air-to-air and air transport modes, this is just phenomenal. In terms of the fuel we can carry, the amount of fuel we can carry, the amount of fuel we can give away and the speed at which we can give it away, and with just how efficient these engines are, this is a real change.
The end of today's final flight spells the end of an era for the RAF, but it could represent a new dawn for troops trying to travel the world. Well, the end of 30 years service is always going to be a bit of a difficult time, and that's certainly the case for some of the Tristar's crew. One loadmaster has been with the aircraft for nearly half of that time. Shirley Swain has been to meet him.
A veteran to the Royal Air Force, Master Air Crewman Ian Marshall is the longest-serving loadmaster on the Tristar, clocking up a loyal 14 years service.
I'm responsible for everything from the flight deck door backwards, and on the Tristar that's above the floor, which is what you're standing on now, and below, which is the fuel tanks we use for air-to-air refuelling, just to make sure the balance is right and everything's where it should be.
Quite an important role then.
Quite an important role. You get it wrong, the aircraft's out of balance. We've seen lots of issues that go on with that.
And while today is a unique flight, it's human cargo keen to be part of the Tristar's last ever passengers to be airborne. But there's been some historic events for Ian.
It's quite a poignant moment, really. It's the end of an era for the Tristar. Obviously, it's been around since just after the Falklands War, so I've got to travel around the world, which is good. Probably one of the most highlights I've seen is when I was on the first aircraft to cross over the border into Iraq in 2013 for Octelic, so that was a good moment, most memorable, I think.
And that includes the vital role it played during the Afghan conflict.
There's a lot of banter between the RAF and the Army and the Navy anyway, so every time we could get a bit of banter in, we would. It lightens everyone's hearts as well. And obviously bringing the guys back when they're injured as well, a bit of banter in that as well, it cheers them up a bit, I think. It's good for morale.
Ian's flown almost 5,000 hours in the Tristar. His role on board today just as important, but it's a reluctant goodbye to an aircraft that served its crew and passengers well. Shirley Swain, Forces News.
Well, the end of the Tristar also spells the end for one of the RAF's oldest and perhaps best known squadrons. Wing Commander Pete Morgan is the boss of 216 Squadron. A sad day all round.
It is. It's been a long time coming. We've been debating whether or not it would happen on time, but it has happened, and here we are. Sad end to the end of the Tristar and indeed the end of the squadron.
And it has had a rather illustrious career, been involved in every conflict really in the last 30 years.
It has. I mean, if you look around the officers' mess, you see all the pictures and paintings of events that have happened in the last 30 years. Tristar's been involved in pretty much every single one of those. And so it's had an illustrious history, both before the Tristar years, but also in its Tristar era.
Now, what happens next to the aircraft and indeed the brave men and women that make up your squadron?
Well, indeed. I mean, the aircraft, a number of them have been retired already. We've had two been away since early last year. We got rid of one to Kemble back in February, and the remaining 6, unfortunately, going to Bruntingthorpe to be scrapped.